I'm really proud to bring onto the stage my dad, Bob McCaughan.
Thank you, sweetheart. It's a tough act to follow. Um, as Jesse mentioned before, uh, I think this vision he had started, I don't know how long ago, 12 months. And here we are today, Jesse. It's just extraordinary what you and your team have done to not only create this event, but to bring us all together today. Your thoughtfulness, your generosity last evening, had a dinner for all of us with our spouses. It was just extraordinary. I woke up at 3:15 in the morning, not because I was nervous, but because I ate too damn much food. But it was just amazing. And Jesse, what you're doing for the EMS community is just extraordinary. And I think we all owe you a great debt of gratitude, not only for the inaugural today here, but committing to do this in the future. So thank you very much. I'd be remiss, too, if I didn't acknowledge Jess's incredible team that really worked so incredibly hard over the last several months to bring us together. Jenna Hine, Amber Dingus, Laura Kaplan, and Gary Harvat. It was just amazing what they did together to make this happen. So thanks to them as well. So I'd like to say what an honor it is to be up on this stage today. I'm only up here because of what so many of you have done in concert with me or for me over the years, as a friend, as a colleague, as a mentor. The list goes on to the number of people that I would like to recognize. I'm probably going to go a little bit off the beaten path here with what the format was supposed to be, but I did get an okay on doing this. But what I'd like to do today is recognize and honor those who helped me get to be on this stage today. So, sorry, it's just an honor to be up here. So, Gary was appointed as or designated as our liaison for this event. For all the speakers, the Gary was the guy to go to. And I know we all went to him countless times. I think Gary and I spoke probably every day for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And I know a number of us, maybe all of us, at some point said to Gary, what is it we're supposed to do for this event? How are we supposed to pull all this together? What do you want us to say? And Gary said, well, just talk about your career, what was important to you, how it all came together. He said, just go back to the beginning. So, Gary, this one's for you. So as I lay there in 1954, wondering who, if anybody, was going to adopt me, I was overwhelmed with joy to find out that this wonderful young couple, John and Wilma McCaughan, were going to adopt me, and they did. I could not have asked for better parents, more loving couple. They were extraordinary human beings, and they were very supportive, very loving, and they raised me as their own son. So I could not have been more lucky. I could not have picked better parents if I wanted to. So thank you, Mom and Dad, and I hope I made you cry. So we moved to Monroeville in 1955. Ironically, the same year the Monroeville Fire Department number 4 was founded, which I would eventually lead to starting my career in EMS. I started hanging around the fire hall about the age of 15 or 16 or so, and the gentleman there by the name of Jack Holman was a fire chief. First person that I really had an encounter with to understand what public safety and public service was all about. He was an amazing person, always driven to do what was best for the community, how to bring that together. So he started the ambulance service there, and in 1972, when things really started to shift in EMS, is when the TV show Emergency came on. I know I watched every episode back then. Saturday nights we would gather at the fire hall and we'd watch the show, and we would critique it at the end. And we would always press Chief Hammond and say, okay, we saw all this stuff they're doing. What are we going to do in our community to mirror what's happening on this show? Of course, it was TV, but still it was pretty glitzy. And an interesting side note, I know many of you in this room here today know Dr. Ron Stewart, an EMS pioneer in his own right. He was the technical advisor for this show. So we start talking more about EMS, how to improve things in the community and so forth. And this guy by the name of Glenn Cannon comes along. He starts hanging around the fire hall. He graduated from IUP, but more importantly, he had a lot of experience with Citizens Ambulance in Indiana. So Glenn started coming around and working with Chief Hammond, and they started to collaborate on things. And Glenn also brought some training with him, one of which was the emergency ambulance attendant certification, which that's history, obviously. But back then, it was like the gold standard, as was the EMT1 program from back then. Glenn brought that to us as well. So we did all this training. We had our certificates in hand, and we're out there ready to save the world in our high-tech, state-of-the-art, high-boy Cadillac ambulances. And life was good. Right around that same time, we also started a scuba search and rescue unit at the fire department. And I was a member of that along with a whole bunch of other people, but little did I know then how that would come to influence my career moving down the road. Another amazing individual, a real visionary that really helped get me going in the right direction in my career was Dr. Alan Shatner. Dr. Shatner was a ED physician at Columbia Hospital and very, very supportive of pre-hospital care. Back then, this was cutting edge for any physician to think about that. Anyhow, he created a EMT2 program or a paramedic program. Many of us in this room, I know, partook in that and got certified. So after our training and so forth, with the confidence he had in us, he turned us loose, most of us in the eastern suburbs. One thing Dr. Shatner was always known for was what? Anybody? Save the strips. He had total confidence in us. If you were working an arrest, he would tell you over the phone or the radio, okay, do what you need to do and save the strips. You get to the hospital, transfer the care to the ED, he would always find the time to talk to you about the call you just, the patient you just brought in and how things went, how you can maybe improve things next time. So about that same time, Glenn Cannon, back again, is working for what was called Comprehensive Health Planning Association, or CHP. He was part of a special project, for deployment on here or not, but a special project for EMS to find ways to improve the delivery of emergency care in the eastern suburbs. So Glenn's working behind the scenes, and one of the things that he was successful with was starting an ambulance service in his hometown of Penn Hills. I was fortunate enough to be one of the 8 people hired to start that ambulance service, and Diane Fitzhenry's here somewhere. She just came up to me a few minutes ago. Ironically, today was the 50th anniversary of the first call, I think she said. So I couldn't believe that. That's just shocking. So 50 years ago, that was me and Jimmy Allison, I guess, in the back of an ambulance. But it was a wonderful opportunity. Glenn was instrumental not only in starting that, but affording me the opportunity to be one of the first medics there. So fast forward as things are moving along. Within around 1975, Glenn starts to talk about creating Pittsburgh EMS, a program within city government funded with federal dollars. A number of us left Penn Hills Ambulance, I think probably half of us, and went to work with Glenn at the city. It was not an easy start. There were challenges with where we were going to work, who we were going to work for. The community college at one point said they might take us up. There was talking to hospitals and the hospital community about absorbing us. Sort of goes around, comes around, I guess. And Glenn, to his credit, at the ripe age of 26, dodging all these political landmines, convinces Mayor Pete Flaherty that we should be part of Pittsburgh, the city of Pittsburgh government. So on August 26, 1975, Medic 1, staffed by Bob Kennedy, Jim Sutton, Jim Allison and Kathy Phil Garrison answered the first call in Pittsburgh EMS history. Shortly after that, around that same time, a number of the EMS pioneers from Freedom House Ambulance joined Pittsburgh EMS and brought an enormous amount of expertise along with them for treating and caring for patients in the city of Pittsburgh. Fast forward to 1985, 1986, Pittsburgh Department of Public Safety is born, and that is when EMS became a bureau within that department. Led by Bob Kennedy initially, I worked with Bob for over 25 years, extraordinary mentor, and one of the things that I learned from him was how to try to avoid political landmines, whether they were in city government or in the private sector. And what I picked up from him really got me through some pretty challenging situations over the years. And Bob Poole, without a doubt, the most dedicated public servant I've ever met. He was public safety 24/7 and then some. To this day, I don't think the people of Pittsburgh, the county, the region, or the Commonwealth, for that matter, know how fortunate we were to have had Bob Poole in our midst. And I'd like to thank him and Lynn for everything that I gave from them. And I'd also like to acknowledge and thank Kathy Cannon, Geraldine Poole, and Courtney Poole for sharing your husbands and your father with us. I'm a better person for having I'm certainly a better person for having known them. Doug Garrison, one of the most brilliant minds in EMS. His keen ability to gather information or gather data, analyze it, apply it, coupled with his unique operational sense is just unparalleled. We are truly fortunate to have Doug in this region as he continues to mold the future of EMS. And John Moon, how fortunate are we to have John in our midst to continue to tell the story of Freedom House Ambulance as only John could tell it. So around 1985 or so, early 80s, we developed a scuba search rescue team in Pittsburgh. Little did we know that we would be thrust into several situations that would eventually lead to the creation of Pittsburgh River Rescue. This one took place in the Allegheny River in March of '86. Woman jumped off the Clemente Bridge, and Bob Bayshore somehow was able to guide this inflatable boat through the ice to get us there. The police boat was out of service at the time, unbeknownst to anybody, so we had to launch this one Point State Park. But myself and Bill Stewart were able to reach over, grab the woman, bring her into the boat. She lived. There was another incident a few weeks after that, actually, where a gentleman jumped off the 62nd Street Bridge. Police couldn't get him into the boat, and he later died. So there was this big uproar in the media, the city government. How can we have a city with three rivers don't not have an adequate water rescue response? So that changed everything, and I was anointed or whatever to be the one to put together this river rescue thing. And what got me back then and even now, that I was a scuba diving expert. What a load of crap. Nothing could have been further from the truth, but I guess it fit the narrative at the time. But it did afford me the opportunity to work with some extraordinary people and be able to bring this team together. And we worked hard together. This is the list of the original divers of Pittsburgh River Rescue. And I'd like to take a moment and recognize David Naples, who's here somewhere. There he is, right there. Stand up here, David. So David just retired recently. David is the last of the original divers to have worked at River Rescue. So thank you, David, for your service, and enjoy your retirement. So we worked together, we trained together, we did a lot of things together, including collaborating to build this new this river safety center, along with a high-tech boathouse, which is pretty amazing. So we went from this to this at the foot of the 6th Street Bridge because somebody wanted to build a ballpark. So the boathouse still exists. If you're ever wondering where the crews are quartered, next time you're over there, if you look at the center field there, you see the Pirates, the Shrubs. The River Rescue crew is quartered right underneath there. So 2009, it is announced that the city of Pittsburgh will host the 2009 event. In 2009, hosted in 2009. This event's usually planned 1 to 2 years out. So we had but a few months to plan this, and we did, I thought, an amazing job bringing us all together to mobilize the largest EMS contingent in the history of the Commonwealth. We only were able to do so because of people like Tom McElry, Bill Plunkett, J.R. Henry, Brian Kircher, Greg Porter, and I know I'm missing a lot of names, but those folks were instrumental, along with many, many others, to make this whole thing work and to bring this plan together, which eventually evolved into a regional plan for mass casualty incidents and such. I have David Matter to thank for bringing me into the Highmark family. I was attending the EMS conference in Baltimore in 2012, and I got a call from David Matter, who was formerly deputy mayor to Mayor Caligiuri. Told me about this opportunity that Highmark thought I might be interested in, and wanted me to talk to this guy when I got back, John Paul, absolute visionary in healthcare. So I met with John and interviewed for several hours. He said he wanted me to come back the following week to talk to a couple other Highmark executives. So I do that, return and meet with I don't know how many other executives for several hours. So finish the interview, I'm packing my stuff up, and I'm looking out the executive conference room at PNC Park in this very surreal moment, thinking, how did I get here? This is just crazy. So in walks John and says, what do you say? You ready to sign? I said, well, I'd like to talk to my wife first. And he said, come on, let's sign. And meanwhile, I'm thinking, who am I kidding? There's no way I'm not taking this job. So next thing I know, we're going down the hall to HR, and I'm signing papers, and the rest is sort of history there. Nevertheless, one of the most challenging and emotional conversations I ever had to have was with this team here. I had to go back and tell them that I was going to be leaving, and it was challenging to say the least. This was the most dedicated, hardworking, motivated, collaborative team I've ever worked with. We knew what each other was thinking before the individual did. We were always brutally honest with each other. So I'd like to thank Mark Boshin, Bob Farrow, Ron Romano, Dr. Ron Roth, and Jim Holman. Then it was on to Highmark and the AHN, probably one of the most unique opportunities in my career to have been with Highmark and to help build a healthcare delivery system from the bottom up, and then later to be able to reorganize pre-hospital across our network. I'd like to thank Dr. Joe Clark, Dr. Bruce McLeod, Matt McKnight, Eric Schmidt, Bob Twaddle, and Jim Palapudis. Just when I'm getting ready to retire from there, COVID hit, and the world went upside down. So I delayed retirement for another year, but I did so in 21 to be with my high school sweetheart, my girlfriend, my wife of 49 years, Kathy. Pay no attention to the newlyweds, rather the halo around the drummer at our wedding. That's Gary Harbat. So I would really like to thank the most important people in my life, my family. I could not have had the career I had without your love and support. You were always there for me, and I just owe you so much. I know I missed events and I'm late for events. I left events, a number of things over the years, but I always held all of you close to my heart and always will. So I thank you most of all. And then lastly, if I could just leave our providers and our leaders here with this. We've gone through this a number of times, and this was sort of became our mantra at EMS West for the last 10 years, I think, and about putting the patient at the center of everything that we do, no matter what it is. If you're a provider, providing the best level of care that you can, being compassionate and empathetic and just holding the hand once in a while and trying to provide comfort to those patients. It's such an honor to go into somebody else's home and treat them and take care of them at probably the worst time in their life. So don't ever lose sight of the opportunity and the honor it is to do that. And for the EMS leaders in the room, I would say, obviously, don't ever forget what it is that your providers do out there each and every day and what they're going through. Always be supportive of them, always be concerned about them, and do everything you can to help guide them in their career. I would also encourage you to get out of your lane, get out of your comfort zone, get away from your local service, and cross over and collaborate with other EMS leaders. There's a lot more out there than your service. There's a lot more opportunities, and there's a lot more ways to grow. And as all of you know, you're all facing the same challenges of staffing and retention and so forth. And it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. But I think it's up to all of you and all of us to try and do that to make it work. So thank you so much for your time. I hope I didn't bore you with the slides. I'm actually surprised I got through them in 2 seconds over. So thank you very much.